Hey, what's happening? Before we jump into the show, I wanted to see if you had any music on a hard drive. You have a band, you have a project, and you want to self-release your own music. Well, there's an easy way to do it. You can go to distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate and go get your music up on all the streamers. You keep 100% of your royalties, and you can get 30% off by using this code. It's a great, easy way to get your music up on the streamers and share it with your fans, your friends, your family, your mom, your dog, everybody. Everyone wants to hear it. But go to distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate, HYPHENATE, and send me the link. I want to hear it too. Send your mom the link. Send your dog the link. They all want to hear it too. We'd like to thank our sponsor, iZotope, the absolute leaders in intuitively designed plugins for audio restoration, mixing, and mastering. At iZotope.com, you'll find a plethora of tools and suites that will enhance your audio production, whether it's voice, video, podcast, or a full production recording session. Check out the industry-standard audio repair tool, RX11, or the multi-tool mixer plugin, Neutron 5, or the powerful Ozone 11 mastering suite, plus tons more. Go to iZotope.com and use the code FRET10 at checkout for 10% off. That's FRET10 to get 10% off at checkout. And again, the website is iZotope.com, IZOTOPE.com.
Bass, though. I think you have the right personality for that, and every band needs one. You'll be in a band. You'll be in bands forever.
What's happening? Thank you so much for tuning in to Hyphenate with me, your host, Randy Randall. On today's show, I have bass player extraordinaire Jonathan Hischke. Jonathan has been playing in a million bands, and we get into it, and he's awesome. We met years ago. We tell the whole story. But first, I hope everybody's having a great October. This is our show for October 23rd, almost Halloween time. I feel like this year it's always the weekends, right? So this weekend is probably more Halloween parties. And then, next Thursday or next Friday, the actual Halloween. So then you probably run over into November a little bit too, but it's always hard having the midweek Halloween days. But then I think you just kind of get to spread it out through all the weekends. I think we have kids now and the age is just, it's sort of Halloween all month long. We get to go do pumpkin patches and friends parties and dress up events, trunk or treats. It's all happening. It's a busy season for us here in the Randall household. I hope everybody else is doing well and has carved the pumpkins, eaten the pumpkin seeds, drank the pumpkin flavored drinks. I'm a fan of pumpkin flavored things. I know it's mostly just cinnamon and nutmeg or whatever, allspice kind of things, but I go for it. I'll buy the Cheerios. I'll buy the almond milk. I'll buy all the stuff. If it's got pumpkin flavored, pumpkin spiced things, I'm in. I don't care. It's fun. It feels seasonal. It's one of the few seasonal things I think we get, for the flavor profile. I guess everything else kind of turns into peppermint in a couple months, but, pumpkin, I'll take pumpkin over peppermint. I'm excited to bring the conversation I had with Jonathan to everyone. A good place to follow Jonathan for more information and keep up with him and everything he's doing and all the music he's making is on his Instagram. You can follow him there. I will spell it out. Why not? Jonathan, Jonathan, Hischke, Hischke. And that's his handle on Instagram. You can also find him on the Bandcamp. If you go to jonathanhischke.bandcamp.com, he's got music up there. And Jonathan's awesome. I'm so stoked to present our conversation about music and touring and playing and all the fun stuff we get to do here as musicians. I hope everybody had a good No Kings protest day this last week. It's a wild time we're living through. Stay strong. Stay supportive, support your communities. And thanks. Thanks for being here. If you want to reach out to me, you can find me on email. I'm at hyphenatehalftime@gmail.com. That's the email for the show. And then you can also find me on Instagram at Randy S. Randall and leave a review. Tell your friends that you're listening to a cool podcast and they should listen to it too, and leave a review for me. I will read reviews here on the podcast. Why not? You can also send me music that you're working on or any cool things you think I should know about. I am out there in the world. Come find me. Send me things. Let's keep the conversation going. And I'll see you on Monday. Hope everybody has a fun, spooky month. This has become our running theme through the house. Our kids say spooky month, and then they do a little dance. I think there's a meme or some kind of animated video out there. Spooky month, and then do a little dance, a little touchdown dance. So this is constantly happening to us 40 times a day. All right. Be well, be safe, support each other. Thank you. See you on the other side. Bye. Jonathan, dude, thanks for coming on the podcast. How you doing, man?
I'm so good. How are you doing?
Good. I know we were just saying it's probably been decades. I think last time I saw you was with Hella in Spain, which was 20 years ago plus.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. Jesus,
maybe we probably crossed paths since then.
I feel like we have maybe here and there, but
yeah.
When I really remember hanging with you was in Portugal or Spain or somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, we played before.
Sure.
We hung before that, but I remember that very vividly, like us hanging out on the beach and at that festival.
Oh my God, it was wild. That was it was probably 2005, so 20 years ago. It was the last tour of the band that Dean and I did before No Age, Wives.
Yeah, of course.
And we kind of crashed a festival. It's a funny story. It was like we basically had no shows, or we had a tour, a booking agent sort of, and they booked like half the show. We had a 6-week tour and only about 3 weeks worth of shows. So we had another 3 weeks to sort of drive around and figure out what we were trying to do.
That's right. Did you guys end up playing that festival or just hanging with us? I'm trying to remember because I remember you were on our floor.
Yeah. We were kind of, hold on, hit your headphones again. I'm getting all kinds of snow on your headphone thing. There we go.
Is that better?
Oh my, it's so much better.
Oh, good.
It's so
good.
funny. Yeah. It's like, So I don't think we actually played that festival. We figured out, or at least we didn't figure anything out. We were kids. We didn't know what the hell we were doing, but we tried. We attempted a few times to just show up to venues and be like, "Oh yeah, we're just loading on, like we're part of the show," just to see if it would work because we had nothing else to do.
Just Blues Brothers did.
Kind of,
good old boys did.
We did this, we did this in Paris. We saw we saw Melt Banana was playing a club in Paris, and we were in Paris, and we were like, okay, let's go just see if we can load on and just open up the show. Maybe no one will notice. And we got all the way on there and like sound checked. And then finally a promoter came over and like, what the fuck are you doing, man? You're not on the show. We didn't book you. I'm like, oh, well, can we just hang out? We're like a band on tour from America. And so they let us have like dinner, because they do these big European dinners. And we had dinner.
Wow.
We just hung out and saw the show. And then, they didn't call the cops on us.
I was going to say that'd be the next, that'd be the other alternative option.
Yeah. No, the police are on their way. You were impersonating a band. But we were like, it was like, how it is. Like you've been to enough like rock clubs around 4:00. Anybody with an amp and guitars can just walk in, It's kind of like having a clipboard or something. You can just sort of walk around. We didn't know if we'd get paid, but again, we just had nothing. We didn't know what the hell we were doing. We were probably 24 years old, broke, and just excited to be on tour sort of, and have, like I said, we had shows. We had like a UK run pretty good. And then we had probably about 5 or 6 squats throughout Europe that we kind of could play with. I don't know. Anyway, but we showed up to that thing in Spain. Yeah. And I think we kind of tried to do something similar and it just didn't work, but we did kind of hang with, we got to, cause we knew Zach from Hella, and because we had hosted them at Dean's house when they were on tour with Joan of Arc. They were supposed to play The Smell, but The Smell was closed. So Hella and Joan of Arc played Dean's house in LA. And so we kind of got to know those guys then. And then it was like, we're like, oh, cool, Hella's playing. And then we didn't realize they were a 4-piece. And with you in the band. And it was great, but it was so fun. So we hung, and then Dave and Noah, and we're doing, it was Animal Collective. It was still kind of early days of that. And they were friends of friends too. So it was kind of a fun thing of just sort of everyone hanging, but we weren't quite a band that anyone knew at the time. Well, we were fake it till we make it.
right.
Yeah.
Thinking back, the way we should have done that was just had you be part of the band and be on stage and do the whole thing. Like be in the band.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we didn't really need to do anything. We were just kind of hanging out. Yeah. It was, So, but it was nice stuff. Yeah, I think I remember sleeping on the balcony, outside on a balcony.
Well, I mean, that's a doable proposition,
Yeah, we survived. We lived to the next day, which is kind of all we were trying to do. But how did you join up in that band?
In Hella?
Yeah, what was that experience?
Let me think. I was before that. I lived in Chicago. Before that, okay. They were always like Northern California, and
Sacto.
Yeah, and I lived in Chicago, and I was playing in the Flying Lutenbachers.
Okay, Weasel Walter.
Yup. Yeah. And a noisy kind of proggy, atonal, obtuse, really complex, intense band at that point. Yeah. That was like the thing was trying to make it as jarringly progtastic as he could,
which was kind of a dirty word back then. Prog wasn't necessarily the style of the time, but
that's
noise
right.
and atonal, that's acceptable. But
yeah,
prog
that worked.
Probably felt a little like, whoa, wait a second. You actually know how to play your instrument? You're out of the band.
Well, yes and no. It's interesting because thinking back on that time, it was a really cool time for music. I've had a few discussions about this on podcasts and things, but
this is the early aughts we're talking about, late 90s, early aughts.
Correct. Yeah. And it's like, I feel like there was just kind of a movement of just weird going on. Like just instead of people coming out and starting punk bands or whatever, they were just starting whatever they felt like starting. And so it was like, yes, prog seemed like kind of a dirty word in some senses, but we also played, with Orthrealm and Grandulina and Yowie and even Lightning Bolt. There was stuff that was
conceptual. Conceptual could work. I guess prog in the sense of 16 keyboards and everybody.
Sure.
You know what I mean? In the prog rock sort of bombastic, big bloated 70s rock band prog.
Right.
But conceptually, artistically challenging, absolutely.
Yeah, and technical, people who could, leftovers who maybe got all their chops playing learning Steve Vai riffs or something.
Right.
And then moved on to something else and had all these chops to burn.
Right. No, I think there was the hidden, the sort of the post grunge, sort of resurgence or the underground metal. I think of a band like the fucking Champs or Trans Am as sort of that, took some of the sting out of some of the proficiency, being able to play. It's like, actually, maybe it's okay. What if we both did these ripping harmonized, kind of, Thin Lizzy-esque solos for a whole record? You're like, oh, okay, that can make
totally. And then that led right into all the finger tapping bands and things that came shortly after,
Yeah.
Because sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No. I'm just thinking even Mick Barr, Orthrealm kind of stuff. It's it's technical for sure, but it isn't necessarily, but it almost goes into a Steve Reichian sort of patterned sort of, abstract technical thing versus this real, we're locked in, new metal, sort of new prog rock metal of whatever, I see on the inside of the guitar magazines I get every month. These kids with tattoos up their necks and 8-string guitars and
Yeah, that's something else.
Half Olympian, half robot kind of shredders that are on the Ernie Ball roster.
Who are also somehow very stylish and probably have girlfriends or boyfriends or whatever.
Yeah. They don't look like they play D&D and eat Doritos all day in a basement.
No, they don't. It's an interesting thing that happens.
It's no fair.
Exactly.
I'm jealous of this generation. What
leave some for the rest of us. Golly.
So Chicago, Weasel Walter, Flying Lutenbachers.
Right. I was doing that, and I was doing a band called My Name is Rar, which was another band that came out in Skin Graft and kind of no wavy, weird stuff. And so I was very deeply involved in that world at the time. That's all I wanted to do was my favorite band was US Maple.
Oh my God. Incredible, right?
Yeah, I saw them all the time. And saw the Scissor Girls and all that whole scene. was really inspiring to me, and I really loved it. So I got into the Lutenbachers. I was doing My Name is Rubber. I played with Bobby Kahn sometimes. I did stuff with Sheer Accident sometimes.
Okay.
You know, all that
Very
stuff.
cool.
And,
Yeah. Midwest art, Chicago.
Right.
Underground
and
rock.
That was an amazing time to be there and to be around all those people, you know.
Yeah.
But,
well, tell me, I guess even before the Hella thing, where do you come from Chicago? Where do you start out, and where does music first kind of enter your story?
I grew up in Nebraska, actually.
Oh.
In Lincoln, Nebraska.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember playing shows there. What is it? The show was Rainbow. That was our DIY connection in Lincoln. Yeah.
Yeah.
We played
of
basement
course.
shows with him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome.
We kept calling him John St. Goodman, but that wasn't his name. It was like Mark St. John or something. Yeah. We said it with love. Yeah.
No, I think we should. Let's just go with Mark St. John.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I do know his name, but I like Mark St. John.
There was a
better.
saint in there, and
let's go with let's go with that. David St. Hubbins. I don't know, something.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Yes, I remember. Yeah, going through there. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
so from Lincoln, or where did you pick up the bass there, or what happens?
I did early on, or you know, like when I was in junior high. I went to my dad, who's a musician. He's a sax player and a jazz guy, a jazz and rock guy. I mean, he does all kinds of stuff, and still does. He still plays gigs.
Cool.
He's in his 80s.
Incredible.
Playing all the time. Plays more than me, probably. Actually,
Inspiration.
like in terms of just like, you know, having gigs.
Wow.
He's been.
Was there a jazz? Was there a wild jazz scene in Lincoln?
No.
Was that part of why he was there? Okay.
No, not really. He went to the Navy. He was a piano and vocal prodigy when he was a kid. Then he was an opera singer in college, or maybe before college. Yeah, I mean he's intense. Then he went to the Navy and went to the school of music there and performed on did you know whatever aircraft carrier. He was deployed and was like on aircraft carriers in the band, like doing flag raisings and lowerings and playing things and studying, you know, and that's how he spent his time, you know, in the service. And then,
was he part of the Vietnam War era?
He was right in the middle of that. But
well,
he wasn't in the middle of that. He was on the other side of the planet. Luckily,
sure, but at
he was
that
like
time,
in the Mediterranean.
It's probably what saved his life, playing music on aircraft carriers.
Right. I remember him telling me that like the battle stance for the band, for the musicians, like if they had a drill or if anything went down, their directive was to go directly to their bunk and stay there. Get out of the way.
Don't do anything. You want to be in the way. Yeah, shut down, decommission your stow yourself until we need music again. Going off.
Right.
Wow,
right.
Hilarious.
Which I love that. I think that's hilarious.
Yeah. I could appreciate that. Like, do no harm. At least, you're not going to know how to fight, but at least don't be in the way.
Right. Don't get in the way of the people who actually have things to do.
Yeah. Best way to help the war effort is sit the fuck down.
Right. Yeah. So my dad, after he got out of the service, he went to college and he studied, you know, for a long time. He has a master's degree in music. And then he was playing in band. He played in bands. He was like in a touring, like horn band in the 60s and early 70s, where it was like, he was in a few of those actually, where, you know, real, like
a big band kind of
what
thing.
We do is cool. We
Sure.
work, we go on tour, but I mean, their version of it was like, they'd play a dance and play for 6 hours.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
Different set.
A different thing. And it wasn't a big band as much as it was like a kind of a horn driven rock band, like Chicago or like early Chicago or Blood, Sweat and Tears or something. Like it was that kind of thing. So it was like, you know, 10 people or 12 people like in the band in a school bus touring around. And, you know, he has stories about being on tour for 100 days and playing 99 shows and, you know, and those kinds of shows, those real shows.
6 hours of shows.
Yeah, like
putting
4
on
sets.
sweaty tuxedos every day. I mean, I'm sure they had cummerbunds and shit. That
I don't know if they did. I don't know if they did that or if they were just a bunch of dirty hippies. I think they were more on the dirty hippie
good.
side of things, from what I understand.
At least, I mean, that's always the worst part when I see that sort of level of band, or even like school bands and stuff. It's like, that shit's got to just smell bad. You get that many people in a bus, that close together, and clothes or uniforms. If you're wearing the same shit every night, like that's not good.
Totally. Well, and I remember him telling me stories about things like they'd have competitions, like of who could go the longest without changing their shirt. And it would be like 30 days until their clothes are disintegrating, that kind of stuff. Yeah. But he has crazy stories. And I think that's what got me going on this whole idea, was it was just like this pirate's life kind of vibe from just his stories about it. I mean, he was way, he was grown up by the time I was around,
Sure. But you hear the stories. I mean, it's this Peter Pan Lost Boys sort of thing for real, especially at that time. Absolutely. When there was only so many roles for men and women in polite society or whatever society looked like. Music was kind of a third rail. Yeah, it still is.
Exactly. Yeah. And I guess there's something to making the choice, like willfully, like he served in the Navy and did all that, and was from Kansas, and was like a young man, a boy, he was a good student and all the things. I don't think he was in trouble. And then to make that decision, like in your 20s or whatever, to just like not drop out per se, but kind of.
Yeah, I don't know if this is part of your story that we're getting to, but that idea of making a choice sounds so funny to me, because I definitely know at that age there was no choice. I was obsessed. I was all in, all music. I went to college, and the second I was out of college, it was like, all right, let's hit the road. We'd already put out a 7-inch and done a couple like West Coast tours, but it was that 2003 when I graduated. It was just, I'm all in. I'm 100% music 24/7. Then I went it sounds so funny, but I guess I could have done something with this college degree, or could have made something with my life. But it really, as I reflect back and look at it, I was like, I had anything else I was doing was just to support this music thing I was doing. I had no I don't ever recall making a conscious decision like, should I do this or should I do that? And if anything, it was more like an affliction. I had this this condition I had to do. I was in.
Yeah. I guess that was my story too. I should ask my dad if he felt that way, or if he saw some kind of career path or opportunity, or how he saw it.
Yeah, and I didn't regret any of it, even all the hard. I mean, you would think sometimes like, I'm giving up a lot to go, down a rung and sleep on floors. You know what I mean? But having that level of higher order thinking never crossed my mind. You know what I mean? It was all beautiful. I loved that for years. And then years in, you get sore and become an alcoholic and are in debt. And there's choices to be made about lifestyles. And maybe this isn't working for me. Maybe this whole thing where I, hop around for 40 minutes and roll in the dirt. I need to like check myself. Maybe I need to make some decisions. But in the beginning, as a 20-year-old, I was like, nope, it's all beautiful.
Oh yeah, same. I had the same experience. I mean, I wouldn't change. I wouldn't trade it for anything. And yeah, I mean, I dropped out of college to work for an experimental, like avant-garde theater company doing like soundscape, noisy scores to their live plays.
What a gift.
Just with pedals and things. And
was this in Lincoln?
It was in Omaha.
Okay.
Which was right next to Lincoln. So I dropped out. I got a job. It was a job. It was like they had grants and stuff. So they actually paid, like I was on salary, like to
That's
be
huge.
up there.
Yeah.
And
you won the lottery.
Yeah, I kind of did. I mean, it only lasted a couple of years, but that kind of got me on my way. I thought I was going to be doing more experimental music, I guess, initially, which is that's like 10th rail.
Yeah,
sure.
You
know what I mean?
Yeah. One thing to say you want to play in a punk band or a DIY band or a noise band or something, but to really, be a solo experimental musician is if you're not underwritten by some kind of large family trust or some type. Yeah.
Which I definitely was not.
Yeah.
And so that didn't, and bands just kind of kept, pulling me off mission because I like playing in bands too,
Yeah.
It wasn't just about doing improvisations and studying with composers or
That's
or
so
whatever.
funny. I feel like, yeah, it's a similar story. In high school, I was kind of the weird noise guy or noise person. I would do things on my own, and then bands were like, you should come play. And then I kind of got that sense of the Brian Eno and Roxy Music sort of, the weird guy in the straight band kind of thing happened for me in high school. I was like, okay, I can do this. I don't necessarily have to fit in or be in the band or be at all the practices, but if I show up for the show and make loud, weird sounds, it worked.
It's a great gig. I always kind of had, it was always interesting for me in that sense because it was like, that was the guy I wanted to be, but I also liked the role of the bass. I always have, like probably since I was a kid, like a child, like listening to music before I even knew what a bass was. Those were my favorite parts.
Oh, interesting.
The thing
That's
I felt about, like when my dad, we're jumping all over the place here,
sure.
but
Oh yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's
but when I remember when I was 13 or something, and I'd played piano, I'd played trombone in band, I'd done these musical things, and I was around music all the time because of my dad, of course. So I said to him, I remember saying to my dad, "Hey, I kind of think I'd like to play a cool instrument." Like a rock and roll instrument, like electric guitar, or get a drum kit or something, Mm-hmm. And he sat me down. And he had this really, actually thinking back, very reasonable and incredible, kind of breakdown of what the roles and the personalities, the stereotypical personalities were of the people who played those things. And this utilitarian kind of, kind of like, you don't want to be a drummer because they have to carry so much stuff.
Sure. And this is coming from a horn player, a guy who carries a briefcase for a living. Yeah.
Precisely.
That's great.
And just practices lines all day and doesn't, just shows up for solos and little.
He doesn't need a whole house to play his instrument. Doesn't need a whole room to play his instrument, which where drums are inherently. You're not just a lot of equipment. It's also real estate. You need space.
Exactly. And he was like, you have to carry so much stuff, and you're always sweaty.
True. Yeah.
And I was like,
wrong.
And you're getting insulted by the rest of the people in the band for not being a musician. Yeah,
oh my God.
So to speak.
All right, can I jump in just for a second there? That's incredible. Dean, my partner, No Age, the drummer, singer, he met Randy Newman at a random art, LA, this, just LA things like this happen here. He's at a party and somebody says, "Oh, hey, you're a musician. Like, do you know Randy Newman? He's over there." And Randy was kind of holding court. I think this was just in the last few years. And so it's sitting down, Dean described the situation and talking to lots of people. And someone introduced, Dean as a musician, like, "Oh, Randy, this is Dean from No Age." And not that he would know, at all, but just, trying to, these types of LA parties.
Right.
And then he says, "Oh," and Randy Newman says, I can't do Randy Newman. "What do you play?" "Hey, I can't do it. Anyway, what do you play? And he tells him drums. He's like, "Oh, get out of here. You're not a musician." that's not an instrument.
That's not an
kind of shut
instrument.
Dean down. Yeah.
Oh my God. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh man! See, it still persists.
Yeah, exactly. So D kind of stuck with it for a little while, but he was like, I think he was just busting my balls. He's this 80-year-old guy, probably weighs about 500 pounds and can't get out of a chair by himself. Looked like he's about to have a heart attack at any moment in the party, and was just railing on him.
Just giving him shit.
Couldn't let him pass without giving him a hard time for being a drummer. So,
well,
yes.
I mean, it probably would have been one of those things where if it would have been you there, he probably would have been like, "That's not real music." He would have figured out some way to diss anybody,
No, I'm sure.
I'm guessing.
Yeah. When he wouldn't be wrong, I would be fine.
Well, in his mind, maybe not.
But so your dad was okay. So he's drums, bass. You want to get into rock world. And
right.
How does he steer you? Yeah.
Yeah. So the drums, it was just a version of that for every instrument. My favorite was, he's like, "Absolutely don't be a lead singer," because they're full of themselves. They're just like on their own planet. They're not cool. Like,
lead singer syndrome.
No one likes the lead singer, right? And then I said, "What about lead guitar?" He's like, That's a little better, but they're jealous of the attention the lead singer's getting and wishes they had that, so they're bitter all the time.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, and keyboards, no way. Do not be a keyboard player. No. Not in a rock band. That's a terrible idea. Oh. And then, which is hilarious. And then bass though, I think you have the right personality for that, and every band needs one. You'll be in a band.
Exactly.
You'll be in bands forever.
You'll get calls. Yeah. You never. Yeah. That's the one thing I think when I talk to my kids about stuff too is like, don't be a guitarist. There's a million guitarists out there. Even as I talk to friends or other people, or at school functions and things, they're like, "Oh, I play guitar." Like, you should play in this band. Like, no, nobody needs a guitar player. No, that's the last. No one's ever looking for a guitar player. They look for drummers, they look for bass players, other jobs. But there's always a guitar player around. No one's ever said I need a guitar player. Yeah.
Right. That's a good point. And yeah, he was. I mean, it's just like these age old like nuggets of wisdom, obviously.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so he just said that, and I was like, well, okay, what's a bass? Like, I don't know what that instrument does. What is it? And I think I actually know that he played me Jackson 5.
Oh,
he played me.
That's the song. The melodies there in the bass.
Exactly. Yeah, and he knew I knew that song.
Lines. Yep.
I knew it well. And he was like, "That's the bass." I was like, "That's the what? That's the best part!" Like, holy cow, And then he played me some other stuff along those lines, and I was like, "Oh God, yeah, that's it, man. Give me one of those."
My 11-year-old keeps playing the Bee Gees from from the Saturday Night Live or Saturday Night Fever soundtrack, whatever the hit song from that is. But it's such a, I mean, but it's high up on the bass. So I was like, that's the bass. Like, there's just the bass is the hook. It's not Staying Alive, but it's the one. It's the song from that. We're listening to it all the time in the car. What is the song? Anyway, yeah, it's so funny. I'm always like, I guess that's the bass, just leading the whole song.
Right. I mean, and it doesn't have to be, Primus or Jaco Pastorius or something to have the, to have something to appreciate in bass.
Well, I guess just Staying Alive is what I'm always thinking of. Anyway,
Staying Alive. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, hit your headphones again. Sorry, we're getting snow on the thing. Perfect. All right. I'll edit all this out.
I have these wackadoodle headphones. I had to dig through a bunch of drawers just to find the right one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they're going crazy again. Hold on, touch it again. Is
that better?
Yeah, there we go. Good.
Okay.
Yeah, that's better. Yep, yeah, that works. No, it's okay. So he recommends bass, and then you start. Did he buy you a bass? What was your first bass?
I borrowed one from a family friend, and I borrowed two actually. He had two. He handed me these two basses and said, "Here, just see if you like either of these." And here's the tragedy of this story, is he handed me like a early 60s Guild, Starfire, like a hollow body thing.
Beautiful, yeah.
Beautiful. And like a 63 jazz bass.
Oh.
Yeah. That were just in his closet. He didn't play anymore. And he's just like, yeah, borrow these as long as you want. And I was like that got me through, but I was like, couldn't wait to get something modern and cool.
No.
You know what I mean?
You needed a PV.
I needed a BC Rich or something,
Yeah,
and I was like, so I kind of played those as long as I needed until I got my own. Then they just went into cases and went back to him, and I never saw him again. I'd probably still have him if I'd
Sure, if you didn't think about it.
He probably would have just been like, sure, keep him.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you probably would have destroyed it at a gig or somewhere.
That's the other thing. I probably would have.
Yeah.
And in the 80s, I don't think it was even that respect for vintage wasn't even a thing. I don't think. Even collectors
not amongst kids. Yeah, I mean,
right.
Yeah, especially.
Yeah, especially not amongst kids.
Yeah.
So
that was the era of the Frankenstrats and Eddie just kind of chopping up 50s guitar strats. He had 50s and 60s strats, and let's go ahead and drill a big hole in this one and route that out, put some humbuckers in it.
Just the idea of
throw away all these old electronics,
throw away all that stuff. Yeah, put in active electronics and put in new bridges and new hardware.
Yeah, which makes sense in some way. For what they're anyway.
I mean, if you look at them in terms of them being tools, which
right, exactly.
I try to have I'm kind of mixed on that whole thing. It's like tools, but also there's something so vibey and cool about something.
There's a character to everything. Yeah, I mean, there's the right tool for the right job. You don't want to turn your flathead screwdriver into a Phillips head by soldering on extra parts and everything. It's like, just buy the right thing. Just buy the thing. Let that be what it is. You don't need to change everything into everything else.
Exactly.
How do you go from then Omaha to Chicago?
I was playing in bands and things in Nebraska and doing that theater thing, which was going well, but it kind of dried up. My job there kind of dried up, and I was kind of over it anyway because I'd been doing it for a few years. But in bands, we didn't know what we were doing yet. Like, the bands were cool that I was in Nebraska with my friends, but we didn't know how to tour or how to do anything.
I mean, there would be a scene coming probably a few years later that Saddle Creek. Right.
I was around for the beginnings of that.
Okay.
I was around for the beginning of that, and they were the ones that kind of started figuring it out, how to get out. There were a few bands who were doing it, in the punk, like in the punk scene, like that we looked up to, who had like labels and had the DIY thing down, and we admired them, but we still couldn't figure it out. Like, the bands I was in were too weird to really like use those connections or,
Sure.
I don't think we could have followed directly in the footsteps of some of those bands.
Yeah, you didn't need to book the 2000.
But then the Saddle Creek people, right? I mean, we didn't even know how to we didn't know about this. The booking, whatever the book was. That was out
Book Your Own Life.
Book Your Own Life. We didn't know about that stuff, and the Saddle Creek guys were coming up. They were, we're friendly. I was hanging out with a couple of them the other day, still friendly. Cool. I'm supposed to hang out with a couple of them tonight. But they figured it out, but I feel like they figured it out because they had label support coming in. You know what I mean? They were kind of forced to figure it out.
We need you out on the road to sell these records.
Right. And then by the time their label got going in those bands, they kind of like coalesced into that little, I don't know what you'd call it, little
collective.
The collective that they did, they had it, they knew what they were doing.
That's cool.
And they had a little bit of money, from some of their other record, back when even indie record labels would give you support, which I missed that pretty much fully.
Tour support.
I don't
you
think
mean,
I've ever
had.
Yeah, or they'd buy them a van. The label would buy you a van and send you out. Give you a booking agent and put you out there. I never saw that.
Yeah, yeah. I think
in my
Dean
life.
and I were always wary of that stuff, just because we had started out really independently and on our own, and figured out how to do it kind of scrappy. And when there was offers of like, "Do you want us to spend money on you?" And it was sort of like, "Well, we're just going to owe you that. You're just spending our money. It's just our own money." Like, no, we're good. Like the less money we spend on this, the quicker we'll get to recoup and start sharing profits, hopefully. But it was the kind of thing of like, no, we kind of figured we'd ground it out for a number of years. So when there was a time when people were offering those kinds of things, we're like, nope. We got into renting minivans. That was the easiest, cheapest way. And you didn't have to pay for insurance on a van when you weren't on the road. We saw friends with the tour van just sitting on the driveway or on the street parking in LA getting tickets every week.
Yeah.
And then you're paying for mechanics and doing oil changes on a van that you toured 3 months out of the year, 6 months if you're really working, but the rest of the time that thing just cost you money. We're like, no, we'll just rent a van and then we're fine, and we give it back to somebody, and it might cost you a little bit more there, but in the long run you end up saving money.
Right. And I would also think that being a band out here, in LA, starting, coming from LA, I would think that to get to New York, you're putting so much to get to the East Coast. I should
sure,
say.
anywhere.
You're
Yeah,
putting
yeah.
you're putting so much wear and tear on your vehicle. Like
Yep.
you know, we from the Midwest, we could just kind of jump out and do
Couple
something,
day trips.
come back.
Yeah.
You know, we'd go out to the coast, do a week, come back, go out west for 2 weeks, come back, and it wasn't like I didn't know that the thing of the concept of the like 2 month do the whole country thing, you know, the Mike Watt version of things or something, you know.
Get in the boat.
So get in the boat. So I would think that, you know, that in addition, you know, would be like another reason that renting would have been a good idea. I'm still do bands that rent minivans and do that.
I think it's
like,
the best way to do it because no one's looking for it. No one's trying to break into the soccer mom van.
That too.
You can park it places. It doesn't scream, I'm a band. That's my like worst feeling, my gut feeling when I see a band or with a trailer, you know, a big Sprinter with a trailer and all the stickers on it. I was like, you guys are just advertising. Like I have easily pawnable shit inside of here with a crappy, you know, padlock. You know, it just looks like you could take all of that. You could take that whole trailer to a pawn shop and get, you know, $300. You know, anybody in the world just I see those things. I'm like, don't advertise that you're a band.
Oh, I can't believe that. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I in most ways in my life, I try to like way undersell. You know what I mean?
Always.
The vehicles I drive now just look like the van I have. It's like a minivan kind of.
Yeah.
Cargo thing that I use now.
It's so funny.
It just like it's a nothing to see here van for sure.
It's I've taken it into even the family life too. Like when we go do road trips or if we're going to go, you know, on a vacation somewhere, like I'll rent the newest, nicest, you know, Expedition or the you know, the minivan, whatever. Everybody gets their own flip down TVs and air conditioning. Everyone gets their own row and everything. It's like, this is fine. We'll do this.
Right.
We'll drive it for the weekend or for the week, or whatever we're doing, and everyone's happy. And it's part of the fun of like, we're going on vacation. And again, like you say, put the wear and tear, rip up, you know, their stuff and then just return it and like, cool, all right, we're good.
Exactly. I mean, spills and stuff, you got to be a little careful, but you know,
you know, really, for the most part, it's fine. Cool. Okay, so I want to get to Chicago and all of that stuff. How do you find yourself there?
God, we're
it's great. I love
we're just jumping all over
the conversation.
So Hella, to get to Hella, the Flying Lutenbachers played with them a bunch. So my name is Robert. We like did little tours with them. Whenever they would come to town, we'd hang out, and I got to be friendly with them for a number of years. I think I saw them on their first tour by accident. Like they jumped on some bill that I was already going to see that night, and you know, had seen them, and I was like, what on earth is going on here?
Insane.
You know.
Yeah.
I'd met Joe, their kind of tour manager guy, at a Flying Lutenbachers show, and we got to be friends. He gave me that was before I even saw him. That was the night before I saw him, I remember. He gave me a CD, and then I went and saw him, or happened to be there the next night and saw him, and was pretty blown away. And then I, over the years, got to be friends with them and played with them, toured with them. We did a tour. My Name is Barar did a tour with them and The Locust.
Oh, that'd be great.
And maybe Rob Ross or somebody. Rob Ross.
Mm-hmm.
And so we spent like, you know, a couple of weeks with them. Like, got to see them every night and got to be friends with them, really good friends with them at that point. And then I started flying out to Sacramento and just working with Zach on stuff, on solo things of his. I'd go out for a week or two and we'd record and mess around and just like make things that ended up being on his solo stuff.
Yeah, it seemed like he just had a long-standing sort of recording setup there. He was always recording.
He did.
He would chop it up, and Dean and I did a session there with him, and something came out, and people were like, "What was?" And I was like, "I don't know. I can't hear what I did. I don't know what I did on that thing." Like by the time he got done with it, but that's what he needed. He needed content, he needed material to edit.
Right. Yeah, I'm on that record too, and it's like you know, I just remember going in and like he'd just play me like some drum tracks, and I'd just play along to it, and by the end of it, it was kind of a piece of a song, and it was pretty interesting how his brain works like that.
Oh, it's
like,
wild.
I can't do it the way he does it. That's for sure.
No, not many do. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, he can make a lot out of not very much.
Right. Yeah.
Which is a really cool.
Go on to see.
His.
Look at death grips and things. If you're
incredible.
if you're curious what we're talking about, I think you just listen. You just have to hear it and then you see what it is.
Yeah. He can make just by sheer force of will, he can make a lot out of not very much.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing that with him, and then got a call about joining Hella to do this, tour cycle for those solo records that they put out. They put out a kind of a
Kiss.
They did kind of an Outcast thing or a Kiss thing,
yeah.
Where it was like one record was all Zach, one record was all Spencer, and then they had to tour it, and they'd done all these overdubs and crazy stuff, so they need more people to fill it out.
Makes sense.
And do it. So that's when I got called into I got drafted, and that was a thrill. And it was like Chicago was not really happening at that point, for a lot of reasons, musically, personally, everything. I was just kind of over it.
You're ready.
So it was a perfect opportunity, and that is kind of like one of the big, if not the big, shifts for me, was getting out to this coast, meeting all the people I met on those tours. Because it was really interesting because Hella, and I would have been thrilled to be in that band no matter what. They were one of those grinding bands for a long time. Like,
both really intense people, but in different ways, or that intensity sort of, would spark the creativity and then spark the sort of the fight. Yeah, but very, very different people.
Yeah.
Both hardworking, intense, insane people.
Right. And all the things you just said are completely accurate. But they had that work ethic, a very Mike Watt, like we said before, or Melvin's kind of thing, where it was just like they just went for it. Like if they got offered a tour, they took it. Yep. And if they didn't get offered a tour, they'd make a tour. And if they weren't doing that, they were making a record. They were just like on it, like 150%.
It's where you see those kind of examples. You go, oh well, success isn't. It doesn't always just happen. These are people those are great examples to see. When you go, how are these people so successful? And you're like, well, they eat, sleep, and drink, and make they somehow invent another 6 hours in every day to get more work done, and all that work pays off. But it's not. There's no sitting around and scratching their bellies and wondering what to do. It's like so intense for months and years.
There's no waiting. There's no waiting for to be bestowed with an opportunity. They create it, or they try.
Sure.
And JP is one of those people. There's a lot of those people, but not as many as there should be.
It's a mindset. Yeah. No, it makes sense. It was a commitment. And I think Dean and I saw that a lot through the wives, thing. And then when we started No Age, it was like, okay, let's not make the same mistakes. We'll make new mistakes, but let's learn from those first mistakes and learn from all these people. Yeah, no, we were exposed to so many hardworking, successful people.
You guys were doing that too, for sure.
But there's a conservation of energy too. Like make sure every effort you do goes into something that becomes productive. So you're not just spinning your wheels. I think that's the hard part too when you're young, because you can have a lot of ideas and have a lot of energy, but not all the ideas are going to hit a strong foundation that it's going to grow. You won't accumulate progress always. Sometimes there's just wasted energy. Like, I don't know, I wrote 10 songs and I never put them out, I never did anything with it. Hard drives, I'm sure there's millions of hard drives out there around the world of stuff of people
scratchy CDRs.
You made a lot of stuff, but it wasn't so much. It was, you had to make it, but then you had to finish it or deliver it or find the correct the outlet, and so it's a lot of those kind of just fits and starts that are really hard when you're young to know, especially when you're making weird music.
For sure. And that was the thing that I really admired about them. One of the things, also that they were just a two-piece for the most part.
Sure.
For most of their career, they were a two-piece, and with one extra guy who was taking care of everything else. So it was 3 people in a vehicle with just minimal overhead on every level. Yeah. Just getting out there and proving it every night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good. And maximum effort, minimal overhead.
Right.
It's part of the formula for success in creative endeavors. Give it everything you got and spend as little as you can. Yeah.
Right. And they lived in Sacramento, which was inexpensive. And, you know, I mean, they really like they lived it, you know,
yeah.
They weren't.
I remember we went over to Zach's house
like
once. He lived in a teepee in a tree house or something. We were like, we stayed at his house once, and it's kind of like a one room, like up on top of a tree in someone's backyard. And we were like, okay, that's cool.
Oh wow, I didn't know about that.
Or I don't know, or maybe it was like I don't know. It looked very, like there was crystals hanging around. You know, it was a very kind of like, backyard.
It doesn't shock me even for a second. That doesn't shock me for a second. Yeah. So if I would have joined that band and it would have been the grinding, insane version of the band, I would have been thrilled. But somehow I ended up joining right as all of their work had like coalesced into momentum. Mm-hmm. So when I joined, which is the weirdest thing because those records were not accessible, like that was not the hella that
Hold Your Horses, which was sort of the breakthrough record.
Right. You know, that was the time that it happened, but it was the records before probably would have been the ones that musically might have like made more of an impact or something, you know. Mm-hmm. But the way the timing worked, I ended up in the band right as it, I mean, God, what did we do? We went on tour I think it was like, one of the first things we did, we went to South by Southwest, played a lot. Then we went to Japan, which was my first time going there. And that was incredible. And then we came back and we did several tours that year, but they were insane. It was like, we did an arena tour with System of a Down and Mars Volta.
Oh my God.
And we toured with Dillinger Escape Plan, and we toured with Les Claypool, and we played All Tomorrow's Parties, and we did, I mean, it was just like everything was amazing.
Ready. Yeah. All that hard work had paid off. This was the go around.
Yeah.
Collect your
And I just happened to like hop on board right as that happened. And it was like, this is amazing. Like, what is going on? This is crazy, you know?
Catering got good. It wasn't hamburgers on the side of the road. Now there's,
Exactly. I mean, it was still a lot of work and it was still a grind for sure. Like it was.
Who was the singer? Who was the fourth member that was on stage at that time?
Dan Elkin.
Okay.
Is his name.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's gone on, I've worked with him a lot on other things.
Oh, cool.
He was in Broken Bells and he played with Kim Deal for a while.
Oh,
and
cool.
He's done a lot of stuff since then. But yeah, he was their pal from up there, from Sacramento.
Interesting.
And,
okay.
Yeah. And so it was the four of us and Joe, the tour manager, and that it was still pretty low overhead, you know, comparatively, not a crew or anything. I remember we were on that System of a Down tour playing these arenas, and we had gear in cardboard boxes, you know. We had stuff in trash cans, like with a lid that would clip. Like I had stuff in a trash can, like a kind of rectangular trash can with a lid that would clip, and that was my road case.
Oh my God!
Like I would tape that thing. I'd put duct tape around that, and we'd put it on planes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was. There was a keyboard that was like a $99 keyboard that, you know, a Casio that was like on stage, and it didn't have a case, and we put it in the cardboard box that it came in.
Tape it up every night and then cut the tape and then put a layer of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that was going on arena tours. And the crews on those people, on those were just like, what on earth is
you
this?
Doing? Yeah. And then they see Zach walk through with his baseball gloves for hands. And it's like, oh, okay, it's this guy. Okay.
Yeah. He's
punching the cymbals every night,
bleeding, right? You know, bleeding from everywhere, and yeah. I mean, it was hilarious, and I remember for that tour. I mean, what what kind of I don't know, like symbolizes it for me. There's this little documentary that came out about us being on that.
Oh.
A friend of ours did, about us being on that System of a Down thing. It's on YouTube, and it's cool. It's fun. But there's one moment where there's just a shot of this truss being lifted with this spray painted homemade Hella backdrop that Zach had made. Which just literally just a weird psychedelic spray painted thing that says Hella. And it's getting lifted, and someone's doing it by hand, and it's all squeaky. It's like, as it's going, and it's in this kind of weird, jank-looking, little tiny backdrop is going up in front of like all the LED screens
and everything else. Yeah.
It's hilarious, and that to me says it all.
It's like a bed sheet, the size of a bed sheet, or something. The 4 bed sheets sewn together, which is a big thing on a human scale. But when you put it on an arena scale, you're just like this.
It was probably some canvas or some
blanket he found
canvas
on the side of the
stuff
street.
he'd found.
Yeah,
exactly. I'm almost positive it was that. So
wild. Oh my god.
Yeah. So it was just it was a really funny, awesome experience to have had, to be doing that music with those people and actually have it be on that next level.
Wild.
It was really, really a special. It was there and gone. I mean, that was it.
Yeah.
For it was like the end of an era in a lot of ways, or I remember thinking, oh wow, so this can happen.
Once.
And then I don't think I ever saw it happen again.
Yeah. Yep.
What I mean?
And the shows like that are, you're playing at 6:00 to empty seats. I'm sure people will come.
That's very true.
Being an opening act on a arena thing, there's probably more people out in the parking lot than there are when you see your show.
Right. We were like hot dog buying. We were nachos buying music.
Yeah. There's something going on. Oh yeah, but there's 40 people in line to get a beer. Like, okay, well I'll get in there when I get in there. Yeah. Yeah.
So it wasn't. I wouldn't say it was glamorous, but I'm really happy to have had the experience of doing that on that level but in that band, doing that music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a really hilarious, just quirk.
How did this ever happen in life? Yeah, I know. It's so funny. I'm glad we've got to this point. I usually go for an hour, and we're like, oh, this is almost the hour. There's a whole life. There's a whole career that comes after this. This is probably the funniest interview you've ever done. Like, wait a second, we didn't even cover anything. But
we covered a little bit.
Yeah,
heavily.
But give me, is there what is the faster version of life in the last 20 years since then?
Well, I moved to California. I stayed in California, I should say, after doing that Hella thing. They went on and did other stuff for a minute, like after that year. Yeah. They went on and did another record with some older, the band mates they had from before.
Okay.
Before Hella, they made some stuff.
Oh, right.
And I stayed friends with them and made music with both of them after that, just not Hella music. And I was in Northern California for a while and did a lot of musical stuff, and then and that was cool. But then I got kind of invited to be in a band down here in LA, and came down maybe 17 years ago, something like that, and have just been doing all kinds of whatever I can get my hands on since then.
Yeah, and there was Dot Hacker, right? It was part of that. That group.
That's what got me down here.
Yeah.
And
then it's solo records. Is there? Or do you go under another name, or like it's?
It's funny. There is a solo record, but that's pretty recent, and it's actually improv noise.
Amazing.
It's like back to that, which I hadn't done that in a long time. And I got an opportunity to do it as like a cassette release thing, and so I had some stuff that I liked.
Awesome.
And kind of compiled it and made a record out of it. And I'm really that was like a dream come true for me, was to put out something in that world again.
Yeah.
Because it had been a long time. It had been probably since Hella that I'd done anything like that was purely like, there's your full circle.
Yeah.
back to the theater
experimental
group and all
sound.
that. And
Sound design.
The experimental solo, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
I finally put something out like that. Yeah. And I hadn't put any, I'd done a few little things, but I finally put out like an actual release of that. And
incredible.
I'm very happy I got back to it.
So fun.
So
that's great. And then what are you working on now? What's coming up next?
Oh, I'm just working on a bunch of different things. Okay. I'm in a punk band called Cigar that's doing stuff. I play with a band called Playboy Man Baby sometimes, which just does, touring. There's so many things. I'm doing a thing called The Sound of Animals Fighting this fall, which is kind of a mathy thing.
Cool.
Super group thing too. Again, super groups.
Great. Yeah.
So just staying busy, trying to.
Yeah, well, it's great. I mean, the 20 years of music has been such a crazy time too. I'm constantly, working with younger artists or working on projects for myself, and it's just like the goal line has changed. You know what I mean? I went into a studio a couple weekends ago for this solo band that now became like a proper band that I'm working on. Oh. And there was the kind of question of like, we want to work hard. Everyone's committed, but we're also parents and have a million other jobs what we're doing. And it's the feeling of like, well, I do that. It's those questions. It's right. It's like, is this even a decision? It's like, well, I need to write songs, and I like writing songs with these people, and so we should record the song. It's the next logical step. But it's like, best case scenario, 1 million people listen to this for free. You know what I mean? We're best case, it's like, okay. And not that I would do it because I need to make money or it has to be this monetary sort of transactional business thing, but it's just in the sense, in the regard of like, what do we hope to accomplish with these recordings? Is we're going to put them online for free for people to hear, and people are going to listen to them maybe or not. And the other side of that equation then is I ask myself, well, how would I feel if a lot of people heard them? Like, that'd be good. What if I heard and then what if no one heard them? Like, it's kind of about the same feeling. Like, you know what I mean? Ultimately, this is a type of, masturbatory sort of procedure of like, well, I love doing this. I have a great time doing it, and this is a lot of fun, and I enjoy just the process of making it. The whole life of music and the record of releasing music and all this other kind of stuff. It's like, it really is it was always out of the musician's hands, but there was the off chance that, some good fortune would come back your way. But at this point, it really just feels like, cool. Well, at least I don't have to spend, $500 pressing 7 inches. Like, that's probably cool.
I mean,
you save money. I like making 7 inches. I like designing them and doing all this stuff, but there's ultimately maybe more than that, but $1,000 is outlay of money to then just, sell 10, give 40 away. And then you have another 450 of them sitting in a box in your garage for the next 20 years. So I'm like, okay, At least I'm not doing that. Let's put it up online.
At least, yeah. I mean, that's some level of acceptance and maturity, I suppose, to see the bright side in that. I mean, I'm with you. I'm with you on that, though. It's like that was kind of a lesson or a part of the charm to me of putting out that cassette thing, the noisy thing.
Yeah.
Was that it did take me all the way back to the idea of their doing it without any real strategy in mind or anything. Mm-hmm. Like just
release
I have the opportunity to do it, and it's kind of like maybe the bucket list part of it was on my mind a little bit, but it wasn't like it didn't have any. I'm not expecting it to have any legs. Mm-hmm. For anybody but my own inspiration or something, for any other reason. And that's a nice feeling to have, to not put any pressure on it, Yeah. And I feel like that might be what you're kind of saying too. It's like, just to like,
put it out in the world.
No expectation,
Yeah.
And that's a nice feeling again.
It's that full circle sort of moment of like back to the beginning where like, okay, it didn't really matter. So we're just going to.
Right.
Just do it.
It mattered to me.
We love doing it. Right. Of course. Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like I've spent so much time putting so much pressure on the music to provide something or to the hopes and dreams or something, you know, like just to hope that it leads elsewhere, or it creates something beyond itself, or it becomes bigger than itself. And so many things have not done that, or not done it the way the expectation would, you know.
Sure.
And it's funny because as we talk about this, and as I think about like who I actually am and the roots of this, it's like that wasn't ever the point. It somehow became part of the point somewhere, and I almost see that as a corruption of the thing, you know.
Yeah. No, I totally relate to that. You know what I mean? It's always been that energy is always sort of there. You know what I mean? And sort of it's finding its truest form as it's kind of grow into it. But yeah. Oh no, I mean, I think we lived, I reflect on these times, not necessarily with nostalgia as much as a cultural archivist sort of experience, like living through the late aughts and kind of probably the last version of independent music, or at least the last generation before social media, which I'm sure it's all kind of tied in together. But the content didn't exist, this term, all these types of things. And I just think there was a world, there was a before and after sort of effect to all of this stuff. And I can say I participated in one version of this that just doesn't exist anymore. And whether it should or would or could or any of those other things are beyond my pay grade. But I got, I had a seat on the bus for a while, before it drove off the cliff. And hopefully I wasn't in the bus when it went off the cliff, but I was watching. It was
we
adjacent.
all kind of were, I suppose, or we were watching it go off the cliff. Yeah. I mean, one of the things my friend Dan Elkin, who was in the band, who we talked about earlier, one of the things he said to me, and this was a while ago now, this is probably 10 or 15 years ago. He was like, there's no underground anymore. There's no pushing back. Like, in terms of, at that point
culturally,
in art. And I think it's probably still true, where it was like anything cool and interesting that was coming out. This might be a little cynical, but it felt like for a while that anyone who was doing something on an independent level was just kind of trying to get themselves into a position to be able to then sell a song to Beyonce or to work on a remix for, Rihanna or something. It wasn't like screw that stuff. Like,
this is for me. This is us over here. This is you over there. That kind of dividing line. Well, and I think it's,
like we have a better version of this in our minds, or we have a different version of creating something that has either is pushing directly back on what that is, or it just has it doesn't care.
Yeah.
And I feel like somewhere along the way it became a thing where those worlds got braided together, and we lost the that fire to kind of like be individual or something.
Or find that community sort of preservation, or that sort of communal identification in some way that was like, this is for us, by us, in an independent sort of, and. Yeah, I don't know. And and at some point too, I just have to cop to getting old too. It's the kind of thing where like, I don't know what kids are doing. And there was a time and place too where I was like, I kind of don't want to follow kids around because it just doesn't feel appropriate. I'm having children of my own now. And if I like, oh, this 16-year-old has the best band. I was like, oh, and I'm too old to be at this party. I have to appreciate, that there's a line here. And then this is for someone else. This is not for me, just by age. You know what I mean? It's the kind of thing, don't trust anyone over 30. It's like, I was well past 30 and I was just like, this is awesome. You guys should totally be doing this thing. But I by design, I'm not part of that world. And that's great. And I could kind of appreciate that, understanding my place and where I'm from and what I did and what I do. But it's also like, absolutely, you need your own space. And if I don't know about it, if I don't see it and it doesn't exist, I think as I've gotten older, I've actually experienced through friends' kids, like older friends who have younger kids who now become teenagers. Like, oh yeah, they play house shows. They have 200 people show up to this laundromat or this, this house or this barn out in the valley. And it's like, that sounds incredible. That sounds great. I remember similar things, and not to diminish them. I'm just sure it's its own thing, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see what
Yeah,
it is.
I mean,
like, I'm very happy to know that, it's like sort of seeing those like embers off in the distance. Like, okay, there's fires burning out there, but the last thing I want to do is go there because it's, I wouldn't want to, it's not mine. That's there. Those are their campfires, and their legends are being born there, and it has nothing to do with me, which is great.
Right.
I appreciate and respect it so much.
Same here.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. And I don't want to, I don't want to get in there. I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to like tap in.
Sure.
I mean, I could see it and be inspired by it for sure, but it's not something I need to like take.
Right.
You know what I mean?
God, no. Jeez.
And it's interesting because I feel like you actually, there's a few people I know, from our friend group. Mm-hmm. I think of like Dave Scott Stone, and I think of John Schmerzel and some of these people who, and I think of you too as being one of those people who really you really stuck with it for a long time. Like you knew what was going on. You knew who was playing at the Smell for way longer than I did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that like Schmerzel and Dave Scott Stone still know who's and like Vice Cooler and I feel like they do know what's happening.
Yeah.
And I could probably ask them and be like, so what's happening?
What's good? Where should I be? Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm impressed that they have the energy or just their finger to the pulse in that way. Still, I lost that ability somewhere along the way. I don't know where to look.
It's great. No, I think it's all part of that journey. I mean, we're on our own sort of personal journey and cultural journey, and there's so much else going on in life. I think that, being stuck on a treadmill definitely gets boring if it starts to feel that way, of that kind of thing. And so it's better to sort of follow that sort of guiding light, and sort of where can I be of use with my experience, and what do I have to sort of give to the culture at large, or where can I like fit in with that. So yeah, no, it's a trip. It's a trip, and sometimes it's not always by our own choice too. Just like, okay, here's where I'm being pulled towards. It's funny, now having I have a 6-year-old and an 11-year-old, and they're my 11-year-old is bringing new music in. And like, Dad, listen to this. What do you got this? And I'm like, okay. And then there's old music. He does not as interested in whatever I have to play, but he's bringing stuff in, and I can appreciate it, and kind of cool. Like, we went and saw this band at the Forum, which I had no idea what this band was. They're called AJR. And it was like a young pop band. And we got all in, and he was so stoked. It was from 9 to 10. It was 1 year. He just loved this band. We saw him at the Forum. It was this huge, big show. And I was like, I feel like this band's like the Wiggles or something. You know what I mean? Like, is this a kid's band? But anyway, it was great. And then now, like, we try to put it on in the car. And like, oh no, I don't listen to this anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. That was so last year.
Okay. I've grown out of that.
Yep. Like, that's cool.
I love that.
But I know what the new Benson Boone single sounds like.
Okay.
That's the new pop guy. Like I heard Chapel Rowan. As that was blowing up, and like, okay, cool, right? I got my little pop spy in the house. He'll tell me what's happening on the pop charts, and he just knows. He doesn't listen to it. He just knows because it exists out in the world because it's his friends.
Right. It's
Fortnite and all the stuff that he's exposed to, and his generation's being marketed towards. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't have to look for this. He'll just bring it into the house at some point and go, okay. Now we know.
There you go. And I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it's a different world. That's the other part of it, is it became a different world despite us and around us, and without us even knowing, like the influencer culture thing and social media. Like it's happening in ways that I can't even conceive of. Like I've had it explained to me. I've seen it, and I'm just like,
sounds good.
I don't know how to relate.
Wait for this to become relevant to my world or my experience in the life. If I need something like that, I know where to look, but I haven't yet found a use for this tool.
Yeah. I mean, podcasts are pretty much like, as far as I can imagine, and that just seems, these just feel like everyone having their own zine again or something.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I look at it. You know what I mean? Exactly. Yeah.
It's funny because I keep meaning to like start a podcast. I've had like several ideas and had several offers to like, help people on them and stuff. And there was a part of me for a while that was like, but everyone has a podcast. What would I have to say? And then I realized it's the zines of now. Like, it doesn't matter. You just do it.
Yeah. You never ask that. Like, there's a million zines out there. Why would I ever go make a, it's like, no, the fun is going to Kinko's at midnight with your friends and dicking around on a photocopy machine till something gets made.
Exactly. Getting the X-Actos out and cutting stuff up and making
the process
making stuff.
is the fun part. Yeah, exactly.
Right. And the connection, the community of it.
Exactly. I pass them around. Yeah. Well, Jonathan, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
So good to connect with you, man.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah,
it's been so long.
Where can people follow you and find out more about what's going on and what you have coming up?
Oh, probably Instagram.
Okay, what's your handle on
Facebook.
Instagram? Yeah, tell everybody where to find you.
I think it's just my name. If it's not my name, it's J Hischke at whatever. It's either J Hischke or it's Jonathan Hischke. I can't remember.
Okay,
which.
perfect.
I'll
put a link. I'll put a link in the show notes so anyone listening to this can go down and tap on the show notes and follow you. And
excellent.
Keep up on it. Awesome, man. Cool. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Oh, dude, so good to talk to you.
Radical. Yes, there he is. Jonathan Hischke, bass player, musician, experimenter, sound man extraordinaire. Yes. The zines of today. This podcast is like a little zine. It's an audio zine in some ways. I was seduced by zines. That should be the name of something. I loved zines. I think I had older brothers and older cousins, and was around, always, was used to kind of being the kid of whatever, music scene that was going on in record stores and things and going on, and coming across a zine just felt like some kind of passport in, or some sort of like, I don't know, like photocopied, piece of architecture of some culture that was older and cooler than I was, and sort of like letters from people living a more interesting life and with more interesting friends and going to shows and who they knew about music and art and funny things and just had funny poems and drawings and communities or expressions, that just felt so fun. I think that was the zine world I experienced, wasn't necessarily about reporting or journalism as much as just kind of weird expressions and funny things made for your friends to make them laugh and passing them around and things. So, I like the idea of podcasting kind of being like zines. I could see that. It definitely makes sense. Well, Jonathan, thanks for being part of my zine for this week. It's like, I like it. Yeah. Just as all things print have kind of gone online, this zine has gone, sound zine time. All right. Yeah. Everybody go follow Jonathan on his adventures and his music. It's his Instagram is his name, Jonathan Hischke, JONATHAN HISCHKE. There's also a link down in the show notes. You can also go to his Bandcamp, jonathanhischke.bandcamp.com, and follow him, get all of his good stuff, go see him live, and tell him I sent you. All right. Have a good one. Be safe this weekend. Have fun. Watch out for any drugs people are putting into your candy or razor blades in your apples. I think I saw somewhere there was like a thing like this never happened. There was never been one reported case of an actual razor blade in an apple. If you know about these things, if you've ever gotten razor blades in your apples or drugs in your candy, write me, hyphenatehalftime@gmail.com, or find me on the Instagram at Randy S. Randall, and let me know. Let me know what happened. Send me links to what kind of drugs or razor blades you got in your Halloween candy, because I want to know about it. All right. See ya next week.
He's like, absolutely don't be a lead singer, because they're full of themselves. They're just like on their own planet. They're not cool. Like, no one likes the lead singer, right?